to Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico. I'm your host, Steve Ricardo, coming to you from the New Alliance Music and Art Complex in Union Square, Somerville, Mass. Dia Ghosh is back with us today, and we have a couple of fun and interesting topics for you, which I can't wait to get to. But first, I'm going to tell you a story like I always do. Being a true rock and roll fan is serious business for some of us. Long ago, I decided to dedicate my life to working with musicians and taking it as far as it could go. One of the perks has always been to be able to meet people who make the music. In that respect, I've been quite fortunate to meet many big rock stars. Perhaps the most memorable meeting for me was back in 2007 when I met one of my all-time favorite singer-songwriters, guitar players, multi-instrumentalists, Ian Hunter, who was the singer of Mott the Hoople and since has had an incredible solo career. A band that I was managing, The Charms, who we talk about much here. In fact, we use their intro music every week. We're opening a bunch of West Coast dates for Hunter and the Zombies. The third date of the tour was in Los Angeles at the Wiltern Theater, and naturally I was excited to see the show. At that time, I was living out in Santa Monica, so the band stayed with me when they were on the West Coast, and I was really excited about this show. I arrived early for the sound check, as I usually do, and after catching up with the band, I went into the theater and sat down as Hunter and his band were setting up. It would be great to check out their sound check in an empty theater, so I found a seat right smack in the middle. Having missed the first two shows, I asked the Charms if Ian was playing Irene Wild on this tour, and they told me he wasn't, which I thought was a shame. It was my favorite Ian Hunter song, one that I worshiped from the first time I heard it back in 1976 when I was a young teenager on the from listening to the All-American Alien Boy album. Hunter's second solo record, and perhaps his best and most underrated of his storied career, was the All-American Alien Boy record. An interesting sidebar here is that along with several other great musicians, including the members of Queen, the legendary and now departed Jaco Pastorius played bass on the All-American Alien Boy record, one of the few rock records the jazz legend actually played on. In 1990, when Hunter toured with Mick Ronson as the Hunter Ronson Band, I saw them in LA and they played Irene Wild, which was to me one of the highlights of the show. So here I am sitting alone, anxiously awaiting for the band to do their sound check, and all of a sudden they start playing Irene Wild during the sound check. I'm the only one in the whole theater. It was magical. I was alone, and I'm hearing one of my favorite songs live. It was a great experience that I'll never forget. In fact, when I met Ian for the first time after the show, I told him about this experience, and he laughed and said that he must have ESP. It was pretty funny. I didn't know what to say. Before you knew it, we had this great conversation about the band I love, another band I love, Queen, which Mott the Hoople opened for, and he was good friends with. These are the kind of moments you worship when you love the music and you're able to sit around and talk music with someone like Ian Hunter, and that was a truly unforgettable experience. Okay, it's time for a tune. This one is hot off the presses, new music from the Jim Weeks Band. The song is called Every Good Movie. Take it away, Herb.
The bar, suppose that's where we'll meet, staring down the barrel of my history. 'Cause every good movie needs a villain, sometimes that's me. Seat of the car, paper mache, red roses, spray painted blue. I put them there for you, just so you could see that every good movie's got a long lost enemy. as we look up at the stars. She's talking dippers, I'm thinking electric guitars. It's been a lifelong fantasy, a recipe for MOD. 'Cause every good movie needs to score the symphony. Before I lay down my last bet, I need to fix this broken cigarette, and I'll hand you back the filter because that's what you need. In every little crowd there's a loud mouth to keep me company. And I'll give you one last shot, and you can watch me bleed. 'Cause every good movie needs a killer ending.
That was Every Good Movie from the Jim Weeks Band's new self-titled album. Jim has been in the Worcester-based band Little Big Wheel for a long time, probably like 20 years. And I asked bandmate Dave Spaz about working with Jim, and this is what he said about Jim. He said, "It's an amazing experience working with Jim because of his songwriting. The first time I ever played with him, I recognized Jim as a potential star. I've played with a lot of people, and I thought this guy is really something. He writes some very intriguing lines in his songs. When I got in a band with Jim, I realized my role was more of a player than a writer because of his ability." That's a great record. I suggest you check it out. Hello, Dia.
Hey, how are you, Steve?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad.
Long time no see.
A long time.
We actually recorded a show earlier today, and that's why, I'm wearing the same clothes because I
got
didn't.
a new shirt, though.
Yeah, you look awesome in
new
that shirt. I mean, who is that blowing smoke with Twisted Rico? Who are those two freaky guys on that shirt? You can't see it if you're listening. That's why you might want to check out our YouTube stufferoo. So we're going to talk about porn.
All right.
Porn, as in pornography.
Not surprised.
Now, I usually write a script, which I think I won't be doing much of anymore since my special guest host and co-host told me that, I get too tense before I read it, and I need to calm down a little.
Yeah.
It could be that photo on the wall back there, which people can't see, of that fake president, which I have to look at that, although there is it has graffiti on it, so that makes me forget who it is momentarily. It's a Dave Tree special. If you know Dave Tree, he's one of the great art. He's the curator, I believe, of the entire New Alliance art complex. Yeah. Tom Head, and I did not make that name up. That's the guy's name, Tom Head. Okay. We're talking about porn. Tom Head. It's a real person and a real name of someone he calls himself a porn historian. This is how he describes porn in something I found that he wrote. Pornography is visual or published materials that depict sexual activity or nude bodies, especially in sexualized situations. The dawn of the internet has resulted in pornography becoming widely available, but the origin of this genre dates back centuries. Sexually graphic images and art not only existed in ancient times, but in a wide variety of cultures. Excuse me, as well. Just in my lifetime, I've seen porn go from these. What's that?
Long one.
He is having a little fun today. It's okay. It was that weed show we did before. I don't know what happened in that weed show, but
I'm also a little nervous about talking about porn with you on,
on national television.
I didn't know what to say. It's not really national, but we're getting there.
Okay, I want our listeners to know that I didn't just say just come in today, and I'm not telling you what we're talking about. We're talking about porn. I did tell Dia.
Yeah, we knew about
Dia
this.
the diva that we were doing. I'm just kidding. I did tell Dia that we were going to talk about porn, but I didn't really tell her exactly how. But here goes nothing.
I'm here too. It's okay.
Just in my lifetime, I've seen porn go from those sketchy theaters. There used to be a neighborhood in Boston called the Combat Zone, and if you wanted to see porn, you had to sneak into those theaters, and there was very sketchy. The thing, I went once and I was like, the hell with this. I'm never going to one of these theaters again. It was really weird.
Was
Herb's
that the
gonna
80s?
Talk. Herb's going to talk.
Was that the 80s?
That was when I was in college in the 80s, yeah.
Nice.
It was the Combat
That
Zone.
sounds wonderful.
It was not a safe place back then. It was a dangerous neighborhood, but we went there not just for the porn theater, but for other things too.
Combat Zone.
So that's how it started. And then later in the 80s and the 90s, the video business became really huge. So porn went to video and it became really huge. The girl on the, and then it went from like the girl or the couple next door having live sex on the internet on sites like Chatterbait and Pornhub and stuff like that. Porn has become $1 billion business, and I got some stats for you. In fact, globally, porn is a $97 billion industry, according to Kasia Wozik, assistant professor of sociology at New Mexico State University. At present, between $10 billion and $12 billion of that $97 billion comes from the United States. The rest, I think, is in Czechoslovakia or someplace like that. The Czech Republic, I should say. I personally was exposed to the, not the way you think. I was exposed to the porn industry.
I'm really wondering.
Well, just don't look for me on the internet because you never know what you'll find. I was exposed to the industry back in the late 80s through the mid 90s when I became friends with a couple of famous adult industry stars, Barbara Deere and Dana Dillon. I'm not going to mention their real names. I'm just going to refer to them by their stage names, but I was close friends with both of them. Barbara once took me to Vivid Video, which I believe was in either Van Nuys or Cedar. That's the San Fernando Valley, if you're not familiar with L.A. And I met Stephen Hirsch, the owner of Vivid, and his then-wife Lonnie Sanders, who was previously a big porn star also. The place was massive. I also got to go to a few parties at Barbara's house and met many porn stars. And the thing that struck me then was how normal everyone was. It wasn't like you're expecting porn people to be different. They're not. They just found something that they're good at, and they found a way to make a living doing it. So what do you think about the way the whole industry has evolved from going from like the sketchy theaters to video to like the girl next door is on My Free Cams or doing a cam show and getting paid and selling? I know women that sell videos and photos. It's like big business.
It's huge business, and that's what it is. Like, it's a business. And I don't know. So when we were, as I was preparing for this, one of the things that we listened to a bunch of podcasts, and one of the podcasts I listened to was Amy Schumer's. And she had,
love Amy.
Yeah, we're
going to talk about her later.
Yeah, but one of the episodes I listened to on that was about sex trafficking, and there's such a huge relationship between the porn industry and sex trafficking that I'm having trouble sitting with that idea, and I think that's where my discomfort is.
You just took us down a different road.
I'm really sorry, and I was talking to Herb about this outside. Like I'm not a prude. I celebrate sexuality. I celebrate sex. That's absolutely a part of our human nature. But the way that it's being used and the way the business of it really, it's exploitive. And that's what I like. And I've spent some time watching porn. I will not lie about that. And that's what I got to. I couldn't, at some point I was like, I have to figure this out for myself with my own body. Like, I cannot do this using someone else's body when I can sort of see how their bodies are also being used.
So you were uncomfortable watching porn?
At some point, like, so it's not like I've never watched it. It's not like I've never enjoyed it. It's just that, like, when I actually think about the product that I'm consuming, like, I'm like, ooh, I don't know how many people it's hurt on the way. And is it?
There's various stories about that. Some porn stars have survived and become mainstream, like Tracy Lords and Sasha Grey. And then there are the stories where I've read a few stories where women said they were so drugged up and they don't remember what they did and they felt violated. And recently, Ron Jeremy, who's was a big porn star, has been accused by like 6 women, I think, of sexual assault. But I have to say that some of the younger people that I know that do this, like Cactus, my friend Cactus Cutie, who wore a Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico shirt on her site, which made me very happy. She loves it. She's kind of a fetish model. Like, she does really weird things. I mean, she makes pee videos, and they're really popular. People want to buy videos of someone peeing. I haven't personally bought any videos, and I honestly don't enjoy watching someone pee.
That doesn't turn you on. Okay.
Uh-oh, Herb's back. Herb's
on.
got something to say.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you can see a really cool parallel between like 80s porn and like music, dude, because like back then, like porn stars could become like really big and mainstream, and like people were like they would just be treated like stars, dude, and like the 90s.com boom happens, and now like porn is everywhere, and it opened up, it's like bands, dude. Like now you could like Napster came up, and then people were just downloading like a whole bunch of music from everywhere, dude.
Yeah, a lot of porn was getting downloaded
as well. Yeah, so like it's like a really big parallel. But it's kind of cool that like someone like Catnip Cutie could be big now independently through her own channels in comparison to like the 80s where someone which will have to be involved in a shady industry in order to like make it big or something, dude. There's a lot of predatory organizations out there still to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah, OnlyFans is a big place that a lot of sex workers is how they prefer to be referred to. Sex workers go to, and they post their, you can become a member, and Patreon also. I have a Patreon account. There's no pictures of me posing topless on there though, Herb. Although Herb tried to bumble me last week into like posing topless on my Bumble page. I haven't done it yet. I'm not doing it.
Steve's working on it. Steve's working on it.
That request and suggestion will still stand.
Well, I'm going to get my... Not that I'm really hairy, but the hair I have on my chin, this is a lot of information. I'm going to get waxed. I'm going to shave my legs.
You wanted to talk about like sex, and like you weren't willing to talk about shaving? Come on now.
I think I could have been a big gay porn star, but I'm not gay, so it didn't quite work out for me.
All right, but you considered it.
You
tossed it in the bucket, did you?
The money was there. It was tempting.
It was tempting.
I wanted to make this a fun show, but you guys have gotten awfully deep with the sex trafficking and everything. It's okay because, it's a part of the whole reality of everything. We don't really know what's going on with a lot of this. It's just you hear rumors and you hear things and the whole Michael Epstein thing.
Oh my God! And I just watched the whole series.
What was that like?
That was really hard to watch. The first, like I got through the first episode. The second 2 episodes, it's a series of 4 episodes, hour long. The second 2 episodes, like I just wandered around my living room. I couldn't sit still.
I haven't watched it. I don't.
As a woman,
disturbing.
And as you call me, like a pretty woman and a supposed diva, like, it's always predatory. It starts predatory.
Wait a second. How could you? I was only kidding when I called you a diva. I'm not trying to.
No. I'm just look. I'm joking about that. Like that piece of it. I'm totally joking. I don't really care that you call me that. Yeah. But I'm saying like that's it's like when you're looking at a person that way, you're sexualizing that person, and it's usually an older person with a younger person, right? And these are just people. It doesn't matter what the sex of these people, the gender of these people are. But they're just people, and so when you're, all of a sudden looking at someone like that, that's what you carry with you. And so these women's, oh my God, like Epstein's, like these women's lives, like he was a predator.
Yeah,
and he created like a network.
I want people to
It was like
understand.
Tupperware.
Yeah, I want people to understand
You know?
that there were two different completely things we're talking about here, because the adult movie industry, a lot
Fair.
of women actually direct now, and
Yeah.
they've taken over the industry pretty
Well,
much.
that's because actually they found that more women watch, like there are more women who watch porn than say they do. And so there is a huge market now it's a market for porn.
Well, a $97 billion
Right,
market,
right.
which is enormous.
Yeah. So, also from a feminist perspective, then yeah, like why not just partake in this and see how you change it and see how you how can you make sex like respectful in that way, like on screen.
There's such a wide range.
There's such a wide range.
Yeah, topics
There's
that
a
we
lot.
could talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
here that I just wanted to touch on it a little bit. And we talked about
Yeah,
this
we
and said
did.
we were going to do it.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't like I came in here and said, we're doing a porn show. We're going to talk about porn.
We decided we were going to talk about it. and so
I
we're just
actually
talking about
thought that Cactus, Catnip Cutie, I thought she was going to send me some quotes, and she didn't, because I was hoping I would be able to use those, but
Yeah.
she's busy peeing in her yard and videotaping herself peeing. I'm only kidding, Cactus. Don't take that the wrong way. I'm happy that you're making a living peeing in your backyard or wherever. She pees everywhere, actually. She'll pee anywhere she can. I mean, hey, how about foot fetish? That's a huge thing, too. I
That's a
personally don't get it, but I mean, I get it, but I'm not going to go out and purchase a bunch of I find some of these things interesting. Like the whole S&M thing is just it's just way too out there for me. I'm not ready to be whipped and tied up and chained and all that. And I don't get people do it because I don't know. Everyone has their own fetish, their own thing that they want to do. So power to
or
the
that
people
turns
right
them
on.
Yeah, that turns them on, which is fair. Steve, can I ask you?
Ask
what
me
kind
what?
of porn you're into? Like,
I thought that's something Herb would do. What kind of? Well, I don't want you. I mean, I'm not a huge. I don't sit around and watch porn every day.
Well, I'm also-
but I know people that were in the industry, so I'm curious about it. What kind of porn do I like? I guess I'm pretty simple. I guess, if you want to think it's simple, I like girl stuff. If I'm gonna watch it, that's good for me.
yeah, I've
Girl,
enjoyed
girl.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've enjoyed girl.
Yeah, I actually prefer to watch that because it's a different kind of sex.
Yeah.
It's a
A lot of
different
male
vibe.
porn stars have been accused of being too rough, and that's one of the negative things that have come out. There's a
Yeah.
guy named James Dean. He actually made a movie with, oh my God, Canyons it was called, with,
Yeah.
oh geez, help me out here. Why can't I think of the actress's name? She started as a child star. Yeah, you can look it up while I'm trying to think. She started as a child star, and she became this she also was a recording artist, and then she got in a lot of trouble, disappeared off the face of the earth. She came back, and her big film that she made was with James Dean, not James Dean. Well, of course not him because he's not alive, but James Dean, the porn star. And Canyons was the name of the film,
Canyons.
with an S at the end. And he has been accused by several women of being too rough with them. But you know what? Once you get
Lindsay Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan,
What?
I can't believe I couldn't remember
What?
Lindsay's name. Yeah, there's actually a scene in the movie where Lindsay, another girl, and two real porn guys have like a foursome in the film.
Oh.
But they don't. It's visual, but not
That's not real.
X-rated.
Oh, okay.
It's like
Got it.
NC-17.
They just
Got it.
used porn stars for that scene.
For that scene.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
they
I
got-
thought,
Yeah.
I thought I missed out on Lindsay.
No,
Lohan.
well, Lindsay
How's that
Lohan,
happen?
Lindsay Lohan can get
I
a
was
little
in the
loose.
pulse, but Jesus.
Lindsay
Yeah,
Lohan
it's
gets a
like
little
anything
loose,
to
man.
do.
There's been a lot of photos of her online.
Oh, yeah,
loosening
remember?
up a
Well,
little.
remember her in what is it, Machete? The Machete movie. She had a really racy little scene there.
Yeah, she had. Plus,
Yeah,
she's got an
yeah.
interesting
One of those.
sex life too. She was involved with Samantha. Oh my God, I can't remember anything. Samantha Ronson.
We had a weed show before
Samantha
this.
Ronson, who's Mark Ronson's sister. Mick Jones from Foreigners. I think they're his stepkids. They both had done well in the music industry. Mark Ronson has worked with a lot of people as a writer and a producer. And Samantha Ronson and Lindsay Lohan were a couple for a while. So she's kind of like, gone. I don't know how he got into Lindsay Lohan, but he did.
Sorry.
James Dean,
Yeah.
because he's been accused of being a little too rough. Girl, to me, it's simple. I like it. Sometimes I feel like I am a lesbian in a man's body, so it's
have
like
said
it
that
makes
before.
it easy for me to enjoy that more than like the gangbangs and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I can't
Yeah.
watch it. It's gross, and it makes me wonder the girls that do it. It's like, wow, it feels like it's an obligation to a lot of the big stars. These are women, by the way, that have millions of followers on their
Right.
Instagram page.
Right.
If you look up any one of them, they have millions of followers.
Right.
So porn is really as big as 97 billion.
Right.
You got to say something before we
Yeah,
switch gears?
I was gonna bring up something that's pretty interesting that's happening too. It's like should some of this content that happens in Twitch, should that be considered pornography, dude? Even though it's like, it's a lot of really weird stuff happening. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
I don't know. I
the
don't.
Twitch thing,
I don't know the Twitch thing.
I don't
it's like a
know
lot of,
Twitch either. I heard
Okay,
of it.
so-
I don't have my finger on the pulse.
Oh well, it's like a lot of there's like a lot of content where it's just like gamer girls, doing stuff like that, dude. But they're like
That's-
really good looking, or they wear something skimpy, and a lot of it's drawing a lot of attention. So it should be considered porn, because at that point, is it porn, dude, or it's
Good question.
It's really interesting, man. Anyway,
And
man.
Insta stars too. Like there are plenty of Instagram stars who
Yeah,
are very use their bodies to
plus it's
yeah.
free, dude.
And what
Right.
about
So
Kim
it's like nuts.
Kardashian and Paris Hilton
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
these mains?
Anyways,
They're
Yeah.
not. They Kim Kardashian became more famous from her porn film that she did with that rapper
Absolutely.
dude than anything.
Absolutely.
No one. I mean, I still don't know what the hell they
Absolutely.
do.
I'm
I
not
have
sure
no
what they
idea
do,
what
and
they
she wears
do.
beautiful clothes, or and it's about her body. It is at the end of the day. Didn't she pose a nude of herself too, while she was pregnant, or she was going to give birth
Probably.
or something like that?
How else does she get any attention?
Well,
I'm not a
that's-
huge fan of the Kardashian. And when she married Kanye West, I was like, God
Yeah.
almighty.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to switch gears, but we're going to play a song first. This is a track that was actually written by Lev from The Charms and recorded by Merrily, who we featured a few shows back. This is called Star Rider.
Funny how a girl can turn out when she gets sweet taste of power and she didn't earn. Oh, 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 yes, you dear. And in your baby blue dress, you're a victim of too much success. Someone say you were blessed, but I know you're a star rider, baby. You're running around in the sun. You're a star rider, baby, and no one can fix what you've undone. Charming, with your old-fashioned face, you could put a good swindler to shame. Couldn't you now? The romance, it went straight to your head, like your champagne leaves you half dead. But righteous nonetheless, so I know you're a star rider, baby. You're running around in the sun. You're a star
That was Merrily doing Star Rider. I wanted to play that when we featured Merrily a few episodes ago, but we just couldn't get the song on. It's a really cool song. She did a cabaret version of the track. The Charms had a more rocker, not really hard rock, but it was more rock, and her version is just her and a piano, and that's really good. And I just wanted to play that for you guys. Dia and I have been talking about podcasts a lot lately. Just Amy Schumer came up a minute ago, and I wanted to mention a couple of my favorite shows, and then you can talk about some of yours, or you can talk to me about these if you've heard them. These are some podcasts that I really like. The music podcast that I love is called Sound Opinions. It's hosted by Jim DeRogatis and Greg Kot and features interviews with musicians and industry figures, as well as dissections of classic albums and musical movements. Kot and DeRogatis also review recent releases and share under-the-radar albums they call buried treasures. Now, someone that just heard that might say, so that's where you stole your whole shtick from, Mr. Ricardo. And I guess I did kind of not steal, but I kind of borrow heavily from their style.
I really like that show. It was a good show.
I like to talk about classic rock. I like to talk about some of my stories, and I like to play some music. And I do go with the under the radar thing. There's been, I like to play bands that are like not very well known, like on this show, you know.
Right.
Like, not everyone knows Jim Weeks and Merrily. I think those kind of artists deserve a little attention. You checked it out a little?
I did check it out a little. I liked Sound Opinion a lot. Yeah.
And you kind of said that you kind of thought that I borrowed from them as well.
I didn't quite say it like that. Like, I think, like, you know, I think it's a format, but it's, you know, I think you do it differently. You tell different kinds of stories. Like, at the end of the day, it's a podcast. We're listening to stories.
My show is our show has become kind of like very Boston oriented.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, I was thinking the Boston Music Awards every year gives out an award for the best local podcast. Yeah. If I don't get nominated, I will be insulted. Okay, so if you know anyone in the Boston Music Awards, I want to be nominated for a Boston Music Award. It's the least they can do for me, right, Herb? Kind of joking. There's another great podcast that I love called Guys We Fucked, and it's Corinne Fisher and Christina Hutchison, two very funny female comedians that don't hold anything back. Have you ever checked out that one?
That one, I'm not remembering at the moment.
Well, you should check it out.
Yeah,
it's pretty
I'll do
cool. It's like they're touring comedians. Well, not now. Nobody's doing anything right now because of COVID-19. We are 6 feet apart, by the way, if anyone's wondering. I know I was curious if people were watching any of our videos on YouTube and going, are they far enough apart, man? We are. We take a lot of precautions. I have a mask right in my pocket right here. I'll even put it on for a minute. It's a blowing smoke with Twisted Rico. I can't tell if this is, I can't see any. Oh, let me see. I think I'm putting it on the right way here. This. I can't put it over my headset, but this is what the mask looks. We don't want to do the podcast with the masks on because it's a little hard to talk, but I know some people are doing them that way. But we're being very careful. And Herb he keeps this place nice and clean. He disinfects everything. But getting back to Corinne Fisher and Christina Hutchison, it's a very sexual show. They talk about sexual relations that they have and things, and we're back on porn again. I also love, speaking of two women together, I love the Sorry Mom podcast, which is hosted by Sydney Mailer and Nikki Howard. Okay, let me just get this out in the open here. I love Sydney Mailer. I'm always talking about her. I've plugged her on the show. I follow her Instagram. I even got on Snapchat because I knew she had a Snapchat account. I don't send out snaps. Don't worry, Herb. We're not going to get into that again. But I'm not going to be sending snaps out of myself, you know. But Sydney Mailer, I like her Snapchat. She's cool. So I follow. She's very funny. Nikki Howard, her co-host, is kind of wearing me down a little bit. I'm sorry, Nikki, if you're out there listening. But, you know, sometimes you bug me a little bit. I don't know what it is, but there's something about you that you get a little too, like, we'll just leave it at that. Sydney Miller, I'm a fan of. Nikki, she's okay. But it's comedians. The comedian things is big, you know. And then the last podcast that I want to mention, which I know you also listen to, is Amy Schumer Presents Three Girls, One Keith. I love that show. I love Amy Schumer.
I love Amy Schumer. I love Amy Schumer. She's funny. She's she asks questions like I don't know. She's just out there and she's herself out there. It's so great.
She's really smart too.
She's really smart.
She had Michael Moore on her show, and
Yeah.
she
didn't watch that episode.
defines herself as very liberal, but she doesn't like Bernie Sanders. And I thought it was really funny that she brought that up with Michael Moore, who's
That's
like
great.
been pushing Bernie
Yeah.
for like forever.
But who else do you talk to about it? You know, who else do you learn from?
She said that she thought that Bernie didn't do enough to help Hillary Clinton get elected. A lot of people feel that, though. You know, the whole Bernie bros stigma. She brought that up. And did you listen to the one she did with Bill Murray?
No, I was starting to.
That's fantastic. Because
yeah.
she lives on Martha's Vineyard now, and she records her show on Martha's Vineyard, which is off the coast of Mass for people that don't know. It's an exclusive island, but not that stuffy, because I've gone out there and there are hippies and punks out there too, along with some wealthy people. But, you know, people like Barack Obama go out there on vacation, and
The road gets closed for him.
Yeah, Bill Murray actually lives out there, and Dan Aykroyd.
Oh.
So, you know, they both made it to Martha's Vineyard. So she interviewed him there, and that was really, really cool. Because Amy, nobody does it like Amy.
No.
Her show is great that she used to have. I don't watch a lot of TV, but if you start watching Amy Schumer, you get sucked in.
That's true.
She has a very dirty mouth. I mean,
She does.
I don't know guys that are dirtier than her. She'll say anything.
She'll say anything. Well, she won't say anything. She'll say things because like she's, you know, trying to get a response from you too. So she's not afraid to do that. That's what's so great about her.
It's interesting that the sex trafficking show that you were talking about was on that show. How were they not funny?
They were funny on that show. It's a hard thing to be funny about, but they had that's the thing. Like when I was watching the show, when I was listening to it, I keep watching. When I was listening to it, she had a panel of guests who knew what they were talking about and who were very involved with sex trafficking in the porn industry. And
involved how?
Like there were
reporters.
There were women. There were women who had been trafficked. There were women Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have.
You're gonna make me listen to this now.
It was
Thanks.
That's why I sent it to you. Yeah, it was a good show, and it really it just made me think, and it made me love Amy Schumer even more because, you know, she's like using her platform for the things that are like meaningful like that. You know, she can make a change and make a difference, and she's hysterical at the same time. She just doesn't have a filter.
Yeah, that's why I think you would like Corinne Fisher and Christina Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Because they talk very openly about they talk about Harvey Weinstein, and they don't skip anything.
Right.
And plus, when you're a female performer and you're on tour, yeah, I know stories of women I've worked with that have experienced, like, I won't mention her name, but one time a band I know was on tour, and a guy followed the singer of the band into the ladies' room and tried to pin her in the stall and shit, you know. And when I heard that, I was like, I wish I was there, you know, for that. You know, it's just like bad things happen to women. Hey, bad things happen to guys too.
Agreed.
But,
but for women, like honestly, it starts happening so young that it's normalized, and I think that's part of the trouble. And I think the porn industry actually just normalizes it more,
This show kind of went in directions I didn't expect it to go in, but it's okay because we're talking about serious things here, serious topics, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about equal rights. I want everyone to be treated the same way. I don't think anyone should be treating anyone any differently.
Right.
It doesn't matter what color you are, what religion. I'm not a big religious person, but I respect people and their religions. They want to believe in a religion, that's it. Sex, you know, people can define themselves any way they want, as far as I'm concerned. You know, I'm like, when I hear these stories about people being treated badly because they're gay or trans or whatever, it it gives me the same feeling as when someone abuses an animal. You know, I don't like it. I don't want to hear about it. It's not good that our society has come to this.
Right.
And we got to call these people out for what they are.
Right. Right. And so, yeah, and not perpetuate the same conversations either, you know?
Is there any other podcast, by the way, that you've listened to that we didn't mention?
Unlikely, because you gave me that list.
Well, you know, there's a rumor that Dia, and you know, when I say Dia, the diva, you know, I'm only joking around with you because you're not really a diva. You know, there's a rumor that you're going to be investigating, or you are investigating, doing your own podcast, and we will be the first ones to support you.
Thank you
that.
so
But
much.
you still have to come on my show.
Absolutely. I thought I was co-hosting this.
Yes.
Isn't that
You're a
what
special
it
guest co-host.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means yet.
I don't either. But we've given you that title.
Thank
and,
you.
know, and I love having you here.
Thank you.
In fact, I want you to come back for the next show. I don't know what the next show is yet, but
We'll find out.
we'll figure it out. We're a little bit of ahead right now. For people out there listening, by the time you hear the show, we're probably going to have 3 or 4 more episodes already recorded because we're trying to make up for lost time with COVID and everything. And plus, Herb has got some things that he has to deal with his day job. I won't tell people what you do. It's a very serious job that Herb has. He's very important.
Yeah.
Herb's a very important guy, and we're lucky to have him.
Yeah.
And, you know, I haven't got to the part where I thank him yet, so I'm not going to go on and on about him until
Just
we thank
yet.
him
Okay.
later, but
All right.
we will. But right now I want to talk about our sponsor, because it's great to have the same sponsor for the last couple of shows. It's the Moonbeam Cafe, which is a traditional Roman Italian-style cafe famous for delectable biscottis and espresso-based drinks. I didn't write this. Nina wrote this. And, you know, I should have told you who Nina was. She was our unofficial, now official model for our Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico t-shirts. She opened her own cafe in Pittsburgh. She sent me this blurb about her cafe. I'll start at the beginning again. Moonbeam Cafe is a traditional Roman Italian-style cafe famous for our delectable biscottis and espresso-based drinks. We strive to handcraft our drinks with only the highest quality ingredients, and doing so with a big smile on our faces. Our main mission is to not only create the best coffee Pittsburgh has to offer, but to create as much kindness as possible. One of our customers once said, Moonbeam is the only place in the city that serves a side of kindness with every cup. And that just about sums them up. Please follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and to get a glimpse of what they do every day. And they want you to stay magical and stay caffeinated. And I don't have the address on here, so forgive me while I click on the last show where I had all the information. I put together, like I worked on these 2 shows last night, and I obviously didn't prepare as well as I should. They're located at 636 Allegheny River Boulevard in Oakmont, PA, which is just outside of the city limits of Pittsburgh. And a fantastic cafe. Nina's great. So please support Nina. And I also do know, and I like to mention this, that Moonbeam and Nina also brought coffee and pastries to health workers at hospitals in Pittsburgh. They still are, probably, because the pandemic is not over yet, as much as we want it to be over, which is something we really admire. I mean, we talked about Baby Loves Tacos last week, a couple weeks ago, the Black Horse Tavern Pub, Black Horse Pub. All of these people, JLS Design, who has sponsored us, they're all doing things for the community.
That's
and I think
awesome.
that's really important in these difficult times.
In any times.
Yeah, any times,
In any
but
times,
now
but
more.
yes, now more than ever, and that they've been doing it.
Yes. And before I go, thank you, Dia,
Thank you for having
for
me.
coming on the show once again. We've had some really interesting shows, and I hope we can keep this going. And I also want to thank our engineer, Dorchester's own Herb Morsiglio, who's been on the mic in 3 straight
I know.
shows.
He's awesome on the mic. He needs
Yes,
to.
he is.
Yeah.
He has his own show. Should I plug your show, Herb? It's called Anti-Social Conditioning. I may or may have not participated in that podcast in the past. I shouldn't have brought that up, right, Dia?
No, it's already out there.
It's out there.
It's
There's
already out
nothing you
there.
can do about it. It's out.
Yeah.
I think about you made me feel like I represented myself well on those podcasts, so I'm just going to believe that you're
Yeah.
right.
You guys
You did.
done messed up bringing up antisocial conditioning.
Is there any way we can
say that about
edit
your
the
own
whole
show?
segment?
Oh no! Oh no! There's
You
no
say
way.
that about your own show, Herb. Don't say that.
We love Herb, man.
Yeah.
Whatever's Herb's
Herb's
doing.
awesome.
Herb is like engineering so many podcasts right now. I mean, it's
Herb's
so
awesome. He keeps us
mean,
going.
You know, the Renters podcast that you do with Lauren is one of the best podcasts in Boston. If anyone gets nominated for a Boston Music Award, they should get nominated. Because,
Twisted Rico's taking it this year.
well, you know, I'm going to need you to nominate me because I don't even know if they know I exist. But you know, it would be nice to get some recognition, you know,
Yeah.
from the Boston community.
Yeah.
Even though we're in Somerville. I mean, they're like, well, they're in Somerville. Somerville and Cambridge are on the other side of the river. What do they have to do with Boston? Mark Sandman of the late great Mark Sandman of the group Morphine lived in Cambridge, and Morphine was a Cambridge band. And someone once asked them about Boston, and Mark Sandman goes, "There's no reason to ever cross any of those bridges and go there." And you know, people around the world know Morphine is a Boston band,
Yeah.
but they define themselves as a Cambridge band. You know, Harvard, Cambridge
Right.
band. I want to thank all our patrons, as we often do. Kevin, Ellie, Maria, Chris W., Heather, Sue K., Matt, Chris P., Dave, Brian, Benjamin, Lee, Chad, Christopher, and Kim. Because for only $1 a month, you can support the Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico podcast on patreon.com/Twisted Rico. Dia, when you get your show going, you need a Patreon account.
You're going to help me with all that later.
Oh, see that? I'm going to help her
Yeah.
because I'm a helpful person.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Herb's helpful too. We're all helping each other. You're helping me by
Community,
pointing out
community.
things to me that I'm doing that I needed someone to point out. So thank you for that.
You mean how old you're getting?
That's not what I was talking about. She's a troublemaker. She got me on Bumble. I'm bumbling my way through that. I haven't even talked to anyone yet. I don't even know how Bumble works. And no topless photos. No. Sorry.
He's still stuck on Bumble. I can't believe
Bumble.
it. Like, that was like weeks ago now.
I'm mumbling on bumbling. I'm mumbling, whatever. Please contact me at twistedrico@gmail.com or follow the Instagram page at Twisted Rico or our Twitter account at Blowing Smoke BS. There's also a Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico Facebook page, and you can find us on YouTube as well. Thanks to Herb. This is Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico. I'm your host, Steev Ricardo. Until the next time we say goodbye, keep the rock and roll alive. And who do we love? Busy Phillips.